Happy rainy and soggy Monday, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Report. I'm your host, Aaron Gonders, and I'm here to tell you all about the wild weekend that we had in sports. The Final Four was decided in New Orleans, so I'll recap that action. Cowboy baseball went on the road to Kansas State, and softball extended their win streak to 11 games after sweeping the Baylor Lady Bears in Waco. I have all this for you on today's episode of the Sports Report. We'll start the show in the Caesars Superdome for the Final Four. The first game of Saturday's semifinal contests was the Kansas Jayhawks versus the Villanova Wildcats. This game had the look on paper to be pretty compelling. Given Villanova's defense and blistering pace of play from the Kansas Jayhawks, Bill Self and his Jayhawks had other plans though. From the beginning, Kansas jumped out to an early lead, holding an 11-point margin over their opponents going into halftime, and holding Villanova only to 29 points. David McCormick and Ochai Agbaji were both huge for the Jayhawks in this one, as they both scored over 20 points and neither missed more than 2 shots. But it was this Christian Brown dagger late in the second half that locked the game up for the Jayhawks, who ended up winning 81-65. The game most of the country was waiting for soon followed. Duke and North Carolina, two of the most storied programs in college basketball and arguably the most intense rivalry in college basketball, took the stage next. Tickets were going for the Final Four at an average of about $1,000 a pop, and the cheapest tickets were around $200 plus. What better reason to empty your pockets, though, than to bear witness to potentially Coach Mike Krzyzewski's last game ever? This game was intense from the get-go, and how could it not be? 37 fouls were committed between both teams, just to put some perspective on it. Pablo Banchero led the charge for Duke with 20 points, and he was followed by Wendell Moore and Trevor Keels off the bench. Despite Duke only shooting 5 of 22 from 3, the Blue Devils were able to put themselves in a chance to win the game down the stretch, and that was because Duke managed to turn North Carolina over 10 times. For the Tar Heels, Caleb Love led in scoring with 28 points, but they also got strong games out of Brady Manick and R.J. Davis. Armando Bacot was also vital to North Carolina's performance because he provided 21 of UNC's 50 rebounds on the day. In the end, Duke's shooting wasn't enough, and North Carolina took down the Blue Devils to take the spot against Kansas in the national championship with a score of 81-77. So just like that, Coach K coached his last game at Duke. After 42 years at the helm of the Blue Devils, Coach K amassed an incredible record, over 1,000 wins to just 300 losses from 1980 to 2020. He also won 5 national titles for the Blue Devils, cementing them as one of the true blue bloods of college basketball. Now all Duke has to do is find the next Mike Krzyzewski. And now we head out to the Diamond to look at baseball and softball's weekends. Baseball traveled to Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple, this weekend to take on the Kansas State Wildcats in a 3-game series. In Game 1, the Cowboys jumped on top early thanks to a huge 2-run shot from Jake Thompson. The Wildcats would tie the game back up by the 4th, though, but the Cowboy bats were ready to light it up in the top of the 5th. Over the next 2 innings, OSU put up 10 combined runs, 5 of which, though, were unearned. K-State had 3 errors and 10 walks in the day, not really the best way to try to win a baseball game. The 10-run onslaught was capped by Caden Trinkle, though he had a big-time 3-run shot to put the Cowboys up 12-2. The Wildcats attempted the comeback, but couldn't put up enough runs, falling short 12-9. Game 2 was pretty similar to Game 1. The Cowboys took the lead, and Kansas State didn't have enough to pull off the comeback. No home runs for the Cowboys in this one, though. Just good old-fashioned base hits to put the runs on the board. Marcus Brown was on fire Game 2, hitting a double and a triple on the day. OSU put up 10 hits in this one and on the way to an 8-6 win to take the series. Game 3, the Wildcats were able to avoid the sweep. The game was tied going into the 7th, but 5 runs from K-State would put them up for good and send the Cowboys home with a series win, but no sweep. Speaking of sweeps, break out the brooms because softball took the fight to Baylor to extend their win streak to 11 games. Pitching was great for the Cowgirls throughout the whole weekend. Miranda Ellish and Kelly Maxwell threw a combined 28 strikeouts against the Lady Bears and only allowed 3 runs on top of that. Though the home runs didn't come easy for the Cowgirls over the weekend, hitting was not a problem. In Game 1, 6 runs on 7 hits put the Cowgirls in position to win. Game 2 was a low-scoring shutout where Kelly Maxwell shined, throwing 9 Ks. Runs were much harder to come by, but a home run by Carly Petty and a Julia Cottrell single scoring Brianna Evans, putting OSU in the driver's seat to win that one 2-0. Game 3 was back to the bats again as the Cowgirls scored 7 runs on 7 hits. It wasn't all batting in the third game, though. Some sloppy play from the Lady Bears allowed OSU to capitalize. In this play, a misthrown ball to first from Baylor shortstop Aaliyah Binford allowed both Cheyenne Factor and Sydney Pennington to score in the same play. The final score ended up being the Cowgirls 7, Lady Bears 2. Well, that does it for today's Sports Report. I'm Aaron Gonders. Make sure to tune in the rest of this week for more Sports Report content, and I will see you all again next week.